Hey, what's up? And welcome to the Ozarks Digital Desk. Chris Pinson alongside Dan Lucy here with you. We, of course, are the sports department here at Ozarks First. And Dan, you and I are so excited because in just a few hours, less than 12 hours really, we're going to have opening day finally on our hands for the new Major League Baseball season. Of course, you've witnessed a lot of great memories at Busch Stadium, even at the K. Tomorrow, both the Cardinals and the Royals get to host opening day at their respective ballparks. So I got to ask you, Dan, do you have a favorite opening day memory? Because you have gotten to cover quite a few more than me since you've been here a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, opening day is always fantastic and fun. The weather is always a little dicey, so it's a little cold.
Yeah.
But it's always fun to see the guys coming back, especially the St. Louis Cardinal players, when you've seen them coming through Springfield at the AA level. And then if they make the team out of spring training or something like that, you get to talk to them. It's always exciting. And then the other thing is when they're coming off of the playoffs, like this year, the Kansas City Royals coming off the playoffs from last year. They're so excited. They tasted it last year. They know that they have a team that can put it together and get to the postseason, and they're there. And then the other thing that's always fun is that these guys are so tan because they just spent 5-6 weeks in Florida playing baseball, and they come back up and they look like they've been on the beach for that long, and they have.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I know since I've gone to the last two opening days at Busch Stadium. The first one was great 2 years ago, 65 and sunny, just like you mentioned. It was the perfect day. And then last year, about 45 and cloudy and breezy. And believe me, it was pretty chilly to be playing baseball. However, this year, tomorrow, it looks like opening day for Busch Stadium. Could expect to see roughly north of a 50% chance of rain right around 3 o'clock when the first pitch goes out. So
it never rains on the Cardinals on opening day. Don't worry about it. Don't listen to what Jamie and Matt has to say about the weather up there.
Well, I hope you are right, and I hope they are wrong, because believe me, as George Carlin once famously said, if it's raining, we can't come out to play. But hopefully they will be able to play. So, Dan, let's talk. The Cardinals are coming off their second straight season where they missed the postseason, right? They finished 83-79, a winning record, but not great.
I want to ask you this question. Where do you think the Cardinals finished last year in the National League Central? What position do you think they finished?
I believe they finished third or dead last?
They were not. I thought that they were dead last. The way everybody's talking, we have to refocus. We have to have a youth movement. It's been horrible. It's been a terrible season. They finished second, 10 games behind.
Behind the Brewers,
Behind the Brewers. Now, when you look at it now, 3 or 4 months later after the season, it doesn't look so bad. But then it was horrible.
It doesn't look so bad, but as you know, a program, an organization like the Cardinals, who have such tremendous history, who have a winning tradition there in St. Louis, for them to go back-to-back seasons without making the playoffs. Of course, Ali Marmol has been the manager for 2 years now, 3 years actually, and a lot of people thought last year he did not deserve that extension before the season started. So I know a lot of Redbird fans have been really booing him on Twitter, but again, John Mozeliak and company believe he's the guy to lead them. So they do look a little bit different this year. There's no Paul Goldschmidt.
And that's the other thing. They talk about in the offseason, the big focus. We're going to refocus on developing young talent. We're going to get rid of our high-priced veteran players and concentrate on developing the players at the minor league level and bringing them up and playing with what we've got. You look at the team right now, and it looks almost exactly the same except for Paul Goldschmidt, who's with the Yankees.
Yep.
Everybody else seems to be back there, including Nolan Arenado at third base. You've got Lars Nootbaar back and stuff. So, I mean, it's not looking that bad. Wilson Contreras is back, but he's playing first base instead of catching for the Cardinals. And I think that's a good move.
I think so too. Again, it's odd that you would trade for a player of his caliber, right? Paying him $100+ million for a 5-year deal as a catcher, and then 2 years in say, maybe we should just switch you to first base. I don't really know if that's a chemistry thing with the pitchers. I don't know if that's a thing of him, right? Maybe his body's wearing down. We know last year he took that brutal shot to the head when a bat came around and popped him, and he left the game.
And then he had a broken arm. So
he a broken arm as well.
Injuries were a problem with Contreras, and I think that's the main reason. They want to have his bat in the lineup, but they need it to be a healthy bat. And to do that, he can play first base. He proved this spring. He went out and worked his butt off to learn how to play first base and to play effectively. So I think that's going to be a good move for the Cardinals. And they've got, Ivan Herrera is back there, and we know him from Springfield, so he's capable as a catcher.
Yeah, 100%. Right? I mean, show you some video here from the opening day pre-ceremonies, I should say. Right today, this video was captured at Busch Stadium. Of course, the Cardinals, right? Everybody's working out. You could see the signage. You can see the banners. Everybody is ready to go. Of course, the Clydesdales will be in tow tomorrow to kick off the real pregame festivities. And I think the key for a lot of Cardinals fans is what's the pitching staff going to do this year? Last year, that was a big problem, right? Sonny Gray was great for the first half and then fell off the last half of the season as the Cardinals did not make a strong push for the playoffs. This spring, Sonny Gray's ERA at north of 15. His fastball is losing velocity, and a lot of people kind of wonder what's going on. But as you and I have talked before, Dan, about what's going on with their offense, you mentioned the offense does look different. Victor Scott, who came here through the pipeline of Springfield, he is now going to be the man in center field every single day, and that's a big thing. And especially with this lineup, right? Victor Scott has speed. He knows how to bunt. He knows how to get on base. If Lars Newbar's healthy all year, that's the production. You mentioned Wilson Contreras. There's a lot of things these guys can do and how different the lineup's going to learn and work. So let's hear from manager Ollie Marmol on his thoughts on this lineup, the potency and the speed it presents for the opponents.
Newt's done a really nice job of he's an on-base machine, can hit his way on there, could gap to gap, homers, but does a really nice job drawing the walk and controlling the strike zone. And had some really good conversations with Mason as far as how he's feeling and where he's at. And we feel good about starting the year this way, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
There's a lot of speed on the back end.
There's a lot of speed on the back end. There's a lot of on base on the front end, in front of some guys that make a lot of contact, then Nolan, and then Burleson, Herrera. There's on base, and then there's a lot of contact, and there's a lot of speed. So we'll take a look at it like this, and then make adjustments if needed.
One of the things that they were talking about, Mozeliak, was they were asked, are the fans going to see this youth movement at the big league level? Mm-hmm. Probably not at the big league level, but it's going to be felt at the AAA and AA level. They're going to rework exactly how they go about getting these players prepared for the big leagues. They're going to completely renovate the way that they do things at the minor league level. So that's where it's going to start, and then see how it trickles up. All these guys are young, but all these guys have played a lot of games, especially last year when it was kind of a lost season. They knew they weren't going to win, and they weren't going to make it to the playoffs, but the Victor Scotts, the Mason Wins, even Lucan Baker, mm-hmm. who's made the team out of spring training, all of these guys got lots of experience, and this is their time to grow and their time to show exactly what they can do.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest question marks, of course, for the fan base is going to be Jordan Walker, right? 2 years ago, when I was at opening day, he was making the opening day start in the outfield, but he got sent down a couple of times 2 years ago. He got sent down a couple of times last year. His bat just hasn't been the force that it was when he was here in Springfield, and they've gone through a number of different changes with him. So can you ever remember a player of his caliber struggling like this and trying to really find his footing 3 years into this project or his, quote, career in the bigs?
Yeah, and the question is, did they kind of try to change some stuff when he got to the big leagues? Because what I'm hearing from Mozeliak and from Marmol and from Jupiter this spring was that they were trying to get his bat and his swing back to the way it was in Springfield.
Oh, gosh.
If you can believe that, back to AA. So they kind of broke it back down and tried to get that. And then they were talking about Lucan Baker when they were in Memphis a couple of days ago, because Baker had played a lot in Memphis, and he made the big league roster, and Mozeliak said he's going to get more than a month. So maybe they learned a lesson with Walker a couple of years ago, sending him down and messing with his mind a little bit. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, it really will be. So, again, the Cardinals, they went 83-79 last year. You mentioned they finished second still in the NL Central, 10 games behind the Brewers. But, of course, it felt like the sky was falling. So, Dan, let's play the game. Over or under, what is your win total for the Cardinals in 2025?
Well, I'll go 90. How about that?
Wow, 90 wins, a 7-win improvement.
How about that? That's
wow.
not a lot.
That's not a lot, but 90 is a big difference in 85. I think 85 is the number for them this year. I think they're going to win somewhere between 80 and 85, and I think if they get more than 85, they make the postseason. But again, you're playing in that division with the Brew Crew, who seem to always be an underrated team, but they're very good the last few years.
Yeah, and if you take 7 more wins or 8 more wins, do you take them away from the Brewers? Because you play these guys all the time. So that's the race that you have, and I'll be happy with that.
Okay, so with that, let's switch gears real quick, right? And let's talk about some guys that obviously have come from the department when it comes to the Minnesota Twins, right? The Twins, sorry, not the Twins, but the Royals, right? The Royals are the other team in the Show Me State. They were the team that last year had a 30-game improvement. 2 years ago, they won 56 games. Last year, they won 86. They won a wild card spot in the American League. They won the first wild card round against the Orioles, then ran into the buzzsaw that was the Yankees, who made the World Series. So what is your expectation in this turnaround transition time for the Royals?
Well, I think that the Royals are going to be right back where they were at before, because I think the one thing that they learned was confidence that they can win and belief that they can do it. Salvador Perez looks like he's 10 years younger than he is in real life. I mean, he had a great spring, and he had a great couple of games in Texas just earlier this week. He's the leader of this team. He's the heart and soul of this team. And then you've got all the other guys back. And then you also added Jonathan India to the team. And this is a guy Cardinal fans know because he was a burr in the Cardinals' side.
Yep, for the Reds.
With the Reds forever. He would always come in and be a pest that way. And you knew him from college.
That's right, yeah. I mean, he went to the University of Florida, where Royal star prospect Jack Caglione went as well. Separate seasons for those guys. But, yeah, I do love the move to get India. He's always been a great leadoff guy. He's a great clubhouse guy. And it's important to have somebody like that because, as we saw last year, Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pask, and, of course, Salvador Perez, the three of them couldn't do squat against the Yankees pitching. Hence why the Yankees did go to the World Series. But those three guys in that American League Division Series, I mean, they were combined 5 for 30? I mean, it just was not getting the job done. So for them, it's important that this season you've got India, you've got some pop in your lineup, and you got another great clubhouse guy. And even though, quote, he comes from a team that doesn't know how to win, his background lets you know he understands how to win. So let's hear from him real quick.
Get on base, hit some doubles, steal some bags. Just be a leadoff guy.
All part of his game. He just gets on base. He does his thing. He's a great clubhouse guy, great defender wherever he's going to be at, and then it's just all around like a missing puzzle piece that we needed. And so it's something that's great to have him part of the team, and it's going to help us a lot.
To acquire him, but then to see him do what he did in the spring, he didn't chase. He swung at strikes. He hit the ball hard. He's ultra competitive. He wants to win. Everything that we could have hoped for materialized in the spring, and obviously we hope that continues in the season.
Definitely, they're a close group. They all know what it takes to win. Very professional, so I'm excited to be a part of it.
There you go. You got your answers right there for you. From the manager to Bobby Witt Jr., the face of the Royals, and India themselves, everything, quote, materialized this spring that they hope. And, Dan, it sounds silly, but even when you go from one league to the other, right, from the National to the American, the game doesn't always translate because you are facing new pitching. But for India to have a 1-point-plus OPS, for him to be a guy that you can depend on every day at the top of the order, and then back him up with Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pask, and then, of course, Salvador Perez and Maikel Garcia and all these guys, it just makes this lineup a little more dangerous, and I think 86 wins is probably going to be a little higher this year.
Well, and you're talking about the transition from the National League to the American League. It used to be a lot worse when there wasn't the DH in the National League, but because of the DH in the National League nowadays, when you switch between leagues, and you're seeing the teams from the American League all the time as well with the interleague play that's so commonplace. So I don't think that's that big of a problem anymore or that big of an issue. One thing, though, thinking about the Kansas City Royals is, you look at the American League Central, it's the Royals and the Cleveland Guardians.
Yes.
That's who it is. Mm-hmm. Who do they open up against? The Cleveland Guardians. For most teams and for most fans, opening day, opening week, the first 3 weeks of the season, you kind of get a feel. You kind of, how's the lineup going? How's everybody doing? How the pitchers stretching? All that. Now, for the Royals, they need. This is an important series because if you can get a jump on the Guardians, it's going to be those two all the way down the line in the American League Central.
Yeah, it really will be, as you mentioned, right? You get the Titans of your division right out of the gate, right? It's almost like Boston and New York starting the season off against each other. Most of the time, the AL East is between them. Yeah, I think for sure. I think this series starting tomorrow in the K, right? The weather should be okay as well, kind of warm, kind of chilly, but still, you've got a chance to take the team that you were chasing last year right to the ropes. And if you can send a message against them with a couple victories, I mean, you got Cole Reagan's on the hill. Clearly, him, Seth Lugo, Michael Walker, those three right there make up a dangerous rotation. Cardinals, of course, still trying to figure out who's going to be the guys. You got Miles Michaelis, Steven Matz, Andre Palante, guys behind clearly an ailing Sonny Gray, who we all know is going to be the same guy. But
and they were talking about that too. What Mozeliak was talking about with Sonny Gray. First of all, he was ill. The couple of last games he pitched, especially his last game that he pitched, when he went in a couple of 3 different times during the inning.
Yeah, very odd.
He was ill. He was sick.
Okay.
So they're saying that he's healthy now. The other thing they're saying with Sonny Gray is he's trying to learn how to pitch again, because some of the stuff that he had when he was pitching for the Twins back in his earlier of his career isn't working. So we had to go back and work on some other stuff. So it's like, Mozeliak said it's going to be a different pitcher. It was like when Adam Wainwright learned how to pitch differently when he needed to go to his curveball, Uncle Charlie and all that kind of stuff. So is Sonny Gray a new pitcher? Did he learn new stuff? We'll see. That'll be on display tomorrow right out of the bat.
yeah, which, again, you would think being 15 big league years into your career, you wouldn't need to. But, hey, some dogs aren't too old for new tricks, so hopefully we'll be good.
Yeah, and the other, if you lose, 2 or 3 miles an hour off your fastball or whatever, that could be the difference in the big leagues.
Yeah, it really is. So, again, opening day tomorrow, Thursday, it's going to be the Royals hosting the Guardians, the Cardinals hosting the Minnesota Twins, which, by the way, also another AL Central rival there. So, hey, if the Royals can win, they're a game up on the Guardians, and if the Cardinals win, they're also a game up on the Twinkies, who is also pretty formidable this season. So, trust me, we'll have so much fun tomorrow. I'll be up there at Busch Stadium, reporting up there from the pregame festivities all the way through the game and even after. So, Dan, you'll have the highlights, of course, at 9 and 10 o'clock tomorrow night. But for now, it's been a lot of fun, and we will see you hopefully for opening day.
Play ball.